Alright guys, in preparation for Black Ops 6 Zombies, I'm going to be going back and playing some older maps. Primarily from Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3. I do want to go back and play some Cold War maps, but for today's video, we are going to be talking about TranZit, the map that everybody and their alcoholic stepdad believes to be the worst zombies map in COD history. Or up there among the worst. In my opinion, 5 is the worst. I want to set that straight now. But I want to discuss some things with TranZit. I wanted to give it a fair shot in 2024. The first time I would be giving it a fair shot and an open-minded perspective since 2012 when Black Ops 2 came out. Before I get into the pros and cons of the map, I want to discuss the strategy I'm doing right now for any high-round players out there. This is the Skull Crusher Tunnel Strat. I don't know the exact name of it is. I got it from Syndicate, watching one of his really old videos. Essentially, you train in the tunnel with a Pack-a-Punch M16 for ammo going into the high rounds. On this particular playthrough, I got the round 43. I'll show off my leaderboards at the end of the game on PC. Well, I do play zombies on controller like a pleb. Anyway, moving on from that, in this strategy, I do think having some sort of pistol or Mustang and Sally is mandatory for mobility with stamina because TranZit's a big-ass map. And in the higher rounds, when you get an insta-kill, Mustang and Sally with one shot can wipe out a whole wave, which is pretty solid. That's why I prefer Mustang and Sally. But getting into the pros of TranZit and what makes it a good map. The difficulty,
this is the best route to
making it hard, I think is good to develop somebody as a better zombies player. The setup, though very, very, very tedious, and we'll get into that later, is rewarding. Once you get everything, you get it set up, you go through the process, and you're able to sit back here and train up for rounds. I got the round 30 flawless in this particular playthrough. It feels good. The high rounds on TranZit while you're training and building up to the rounds feels pretty solid. It feels very reminiscent of Town, even training in here. And if you've played Town or even Nuketown, it just feels good. Especially in this area where you have so much space, you don't have to worry about getting trapped. And the bus can wipe out a whole wave of zombies, as you saw right there. Moving on from this setup, there is so many places in TranZit that's viable to train to get you to a higher round. I am not sure on camping spots because I don't camp in zombies on TranZit. Anyway, there's a few maps I do it on, but TranZit isn't one of them. You can train here in the tunnels like I am in this video. You can train at the town. There's an area outside the gates at the farm that's very viable to train at. I'm sure you could find a way to train at the bus depot or at the power. But the main three is right outside the farm, the tunnel, and the town. Another reason for choosing the tunnels, for me, at least for this strat, was the electric boss zombie can't get to you in the tunnels. I'm not sure why he can't. I don't know if it's because it's technically like indoors and enclosed that he can't come in, but I got the round 43 and didn't see him a single time. I like the fact that there's also a variety of melee weapons. Not that you use them a ton, though in TranZit you will because of the denizens in the fog. We'll speak on those later. But the Bowie knife, the regular knife, and the Galva knuckles, great addition to the map. Not super relevant all the time because let's be honest, you're not using them a whole lot of time. You'll be using your Mustang and Sally, your Skull Crusher, your Ray Gun Mark II, Jet Gun, all that stuff to get the higher rounds. Another thing that makes TranZit a really solid map is the banking system. Using it to help you get set up removes part of the tedious factor. And TranZit is a very tedious map due to its size and what you have to do. I enjoy starting off a game of zombies in TranZit with about 50,000-60,000 points. Though it seems like a lot, it kinda can dwindle down pretty quickly. My perk setup is usually about 8,000 points. Pack-a-Punch 2 weapons is another 10,000. Buying doors and stuff is also a lot of money. So, with that, it takes a lot of points to get set up on TranZit. And the banking system helps. And the fact that you can share points in co-op is also pretty good. Playing with a less experienced zombies player, fairly good. Then, you know, give them 100k points to buy all their stuff so they're not worried about that after they've died like 12 times. I think that having 2 Easter eggs for Easter egg players makes it solid. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure that Buried and Die Rise also have 2 Easter eggs on it, one for the Maxis and Richtofen sides. That makes the game more interesting for doing Easter eggs. One thing I do not like in the Easter egg ratio, or aspect, not ratio, of the Easter eggs is that only Stuinger can hear Richtofen. I understand it for the story. But if you're trying to do the Richtofen side and you're not cheating with like a mod menu or something, and you don't get Stuinger, makes it a little more difficult. Not a ton, but just being able to hear Richtofen, I think, helps. Apart from that, there's a bunch of little Easter eggs in TranZit. My favorite one being that Nocturne Toten is on the map. You wouldn't know it's Nocturne Toten unless you bought the DOC on Black Ops, or you beat the campaign of World at War to unlock zombies. I really like that. Some people think it's tedious. I think it's tedious as part of the jet gun setup part. But the fact they included it, it's pretty cool, nice. It's a shout out to retro players from the franchise. I like that. But that's kind of where the pros to TranZit, in my opinion, end. Now, getting into the cons of TranZit, and I want to be fair that this is constructive criticism on the map. A lot of people do like TranZit. I'm not trying to trample over anybody's favorite map. This is just my opinion. Please remember that. The setup process on TranZit is extremely tedious. Even in this playthrough, starting with about 60,000 points, it took me nearly an hour to get fully set up on TranZit. Not the round 27 like you're seeing right here. On round 5, have been playing for an hour. Getting the Galvanuckles for the denizens, getting the Pack-a-Punch open, getting all my perks. All of that took roughly an hour. Could it have been done faster? Probably. I'm not the best at TranZit. I don't know the map the best. But there's, like, taking an hour for a casual playthrough of TranZit, not trying to speedrun or do anything, is ridiculous. I can get Pack-a-Punch and everything done on Shadows of Evil except the sword done by like round 2 or 3 in Black Ops 3, for example, without using Mega Gobblegums. Like, it's a little ridiculous in my opinion and makes the fun aspect of TranZit go down a lot. Another thing with TranZit that I don't like is you're only able to carry one buildable part. Mob of the Dead fixed that greatly, where you can carry an acid gat, a plane part, and the other section of parts. You can carry more than one part, is what I'm getting at, before you build the thing. In TranZit, you can only carry one. Well, if the map was small, it wouldn't be a big issue. Like when you spawn in and you build the turbine, all 3 parts right next to you, it's not a huge issue. But when you build the jet gun, and you have to go from the power station to Nocturne Toten, to the cabin in the woods, to, what's the other place? The tunnels where I'm at right now. It's so far and so much running, and the bus only takes you to 2 of those places and drives through one of them, being the tunnels. That's a little ridiculous. And annoying. Like, shit. And the fact that the jet gun breaks after 15 seconds is a little annoying. I thought I got around 30 flawless. Apparently I didn't.
If I had wanted to die, I would have jumped off a bridge.
Another key to TranZit is just to not panic when you go down because you got to run so far.
The sounds of carnivorous
Be
beasts.
safe. Don't do anything stupid. Don't blow yourself up with Mustang Sally.
No
You have Galvanuckles, or at least you should, to deal with the denizens. Side tangent. The jet gun break. Side tangent. Back on topic. The jet gun breaks after 15 seconds.
Fusion made portable.
And it takes like a full minute to charge back up, which is extremely annoying. I know the Wonderwolf and the Thunder Gun pre-TranZit were arguably really broken.
Odd. I I seem to have
The
frightened
Thunder
her
Gun
off
alone
somehow.
can take you to around 50, 60 plus by itself. In Black Ops Keynote or Totem. But
My
the fact
diagnostic skills
also
seem
when it
greatly
breaks that you have to run to all 4 of those places to rebuild it is just another annoying aspect of TranZit. Another thing, as we're talking in the fog, the Denizen face rapist spawn rate is way too high. I just got rid of one and another one just jumped on my face. I know it's an aspect of just like they want you to ride the bus, but the bus is slow and it feels really inconsistent for me to actually ride the bus in between places. And if you're training like I was and the bus isn't near you, you can't take the bus. You have to go into a fog at some point or you're playing TranZit. It's just really awkward. And if that Denizen would have latched onto me there, which it did, I'm lucky I didn't die, it's just annoying. If I would have died there, I would have been mad and probably rage quit. And there's also,
I feel like a
speaking of that, since we just went through that, the fire on TranZit, this doesn't really apply to the map Town, even though we just ran through Town. Town, I think it's different because you can jump through it and there's not that much fire except for by the pack-a-punch, but that shouldn't be killing you because you're jumping in and you're jumping out. You have enough time while you're pack-a-punching for your health to regen from the fire. But on TranZit, in between these areas, you have these large, like, lava rivers or lakes, and it's so annoying. Like, very annoying. And while you're seeing me run through the fog, it's like stamina up is pretty mandatory on this map. I don't like being forced into using a perk. You could argue, Patrick, Jug's mandatory. Quick Revive's mandatory. Speed Cola is arguably mandatory. Not necessarily. Like, there's times on, like, Ascension where I've seen players get to round 40 without Jug. Granted, Ascension is a really easy map and it's probably a bad example. But, like, even today, I got to round 48 on Mob of the Dead, and I'll do a video on it soon, where I got to round 48, and a lot of the times, if you just know how to dodge and weave in Black Ops 2, you can get away without having Jug. So, stamina, with this long-ass distance, it's just annoying. And if you train, well, the counter-argument is, well, Miro train at the town. If you train at the town, there's no wall by. So, unless you're just running around with a ray gun, and you're able to handle the Avogadro Electro boss zombie, which granted he's not really hard, he's about as strong as a Denizen, which is another con to TranZit, that your boss zombie is as weak as a mini-boss. It's pretty pathetic in that aspect. But if you want to, like, just get up a lot of points, train, get through the rounds pretty easily, like I've been doing on this playthrough, you can't train at the town because you need the ammo from the M16.
Please do not let me ever talk
Also, if you like, watch any of my Shadows playthroughs on the channel, on Black Ops 3, the Vesper and the Rift is like kind of the same principle as for this map. Another aspect of Town is that you can't, and this is a personal, like, nitpick of TranZit. I don't know how much it bothers you guys, but the fact that when you go to the farm and you use the fridge to store a gun, why can't you put a ray gun in it? I know it's technically a wonder weapon, but the ray gun is not that good, let's be honest. When I was setting up for this playthrough, I played multiple games to set up with, putting a lot of points in the bank, and I was going to put a ray gun in the fridge, and I can't do it. There is an RPD in my fridge on farm that's probably going to be there until the next time I play TranZit, if I even remember it's there. Another nitpick for TranZit, and I think it's a reason why so many players abandoned it shortly after launch, is that it's just too hard for new players. Like, if you didn't play Black Ops 1, you didn't play World at War, and this is your first COD Zombies experience at the time, or even going back to it now, because Black Ops 2's stupidly cheap, like, TranZit is hard. learning everything in
Some
TranZit takes
non-elective surgery.
a good minute, especially if you're new to zombies. If you're not, and I know this is like a fairly old game at this point, but I think the new player aspect kind of gets forgotten in zombies a good bit. It's one thing I criticize, or is the main thing I criticize about Black Ops 3 zombies, is that there's a lack of simple maps. Which, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, that's one thing. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, I'm entitled to mine. We're having a discussion about TranZit for a reason. That kind of concludes all my cons for TranZit. The biggest factor being the tedious setup. It should not take me an hour to set up on TranZit. 20 minutes. I get it's probably the biggest zombies map ever. I think 20 minutes is fair to set up on a zombies map. Maybe 30, depending on if you're speedrunning or not. To set up to go for like a round 100 or not. But an hour on a casual playthrough like this, I was expecting to get the round like 30, 35 on this. Did better than that. That's a little ridiculous that it took me an hour. That and the denizens being annoying and it adds at that time is just another huge downside to TranZit for me. In conclusion,
My coordination is greatly
I
enhanced.
don't think after playing it with a fresh mindset and an open mind that TranZit is the worst zombies map of all time. Because it's not. In my personal opinion, I think 5 is the worst map of all time. Excluding Black Ops 4 Zombies, I didn't play it. I'm not going to play it. I don't like the perk system in that game. So we're not going to talk about that. But if you exclude the entirety of Black Ops 4 Zombies, I think 5 is the worst map. TranZit is nowhere near the worst map. I can play TranZit and have some fun. In co-op, I'm sure TranZit becomes more fun. I haven't played TranZit with
How could you have forgotten
like
to count your
3 or 4
ammunition,
people
Marlton?
in probably like 7, 8 years. Coming from a solo perspective, TranZit is still A's. If I had to give TranZit a score out of 10, I would give TranZit somewhere between a 3.5 and a 4. Probably like a 3.7. Now, in the comment section below, leave me your opinion on TranZit. What you would have done to improve TranZit. I know a lot of the issues with TranZit came down to you have to have fog as a limitation of the hardware at the time on the PS3 and Xbox 360. I understand that. And I know there's like TranZit Remastered and stuff like that in Black Ops 3's modded zombies. But we talking about OG TranZit. My leaderboards, yes, I have 2 PC accounts. I'm not going to explain why in this video. But I got the 43, 3,002 kills, 3 revives, nearly 1,000 headshots and 4 downs. Top 5,000 in the world on TranZit on PC. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.